I'm Peggy, and I am 53 years old. I never expected to be, I didn't expect to be starting over at 53, but here I am. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this video. This is actually my second take. I think I was going a little too much in the weeds, and it was too long. So I'm going to give you some general information. A couple of years ago, I left a job thinking that, in 2024, thinking that it was a pretty good job. I wasn't well off, but I was doing okay, making between $50,000 and $60,000 a year, which for me is pretty good, and for where I live is pretty good, at least at the time. Now everything's so expensive, it's probably not, but I was living in a one-bedroom apartment, nice apartment, but my son and my daughter-in-law had to move in with me, so it was getting pretty crowded, and we moved to a bigger place, and then we had some issues there, and so we moved to another place, and it was great. That place was great. Neighbors were nice. We loved the area. And then through some circumstances I'm not normally go into, I had to leave a job, my very good job, and I had savings. I had some savings, and I had a 401k that I cashed out, and I used some of that to pay bills. And my son worked, my daughter-in-law worked, and they helped out, and it was okay for a few months. And I was looking for a job. Like when I left that job, I thought, with my experience, surely to God I'll be able to find another job, right? Fairly quickly. That didn't turn out right. Didn't turn out to be the truth. And so I was living on my savings, and it even got to a point where I sold my car, which was a major mistake, because it was paid off. It was in good condition, had only about 50,000 miles on it. I'd had it for 7 years, but I'd been really careful with it. I'd taken very good care of it. I'd never been in an accident. Like, it was in really good shape, had low miles, and I sold it to pay bills because I didn't know what else I could do. My credit was okay, but not great. I had some credit cards that were in collections, so, and I still do. So, lived off the savings, lived off the 401k, then sold my car, and that paid the bills for another couple of months, and because I got desperate. Fortunately, my son and my daughter-in-law working, they were able to help pay some of the bills. I did find one job within walking distance, so, basically at that point, because I sold my car, I limited my job options. Which was why it was such a huge mistake. But I did find a job for a short time within walking distance, but the people there were terrible. They did not train me properly, and then it was just a bad situation. I would not recommend anybody work there, and I'm not going to say where it is, but yeah. Do not recommend. We went. So I started doing what I could. door dashing, So this, I mean, this is what I do to make money right now. I do door dashing with my son's car. Um, I, I'm trying to find some sort of like remote work if possible, but that's been very hard to find. I don't want to sell insurance. I'm not big on customer service. I've done a call center job before, actually a couple of different times. We have a call center here in the town that I live in, and so I've worked there. That was actually one of the jobs that I did in between, after I lost the good job, and then after the terrible job that was within walking distance. I did find a job at the call center, and I was taking I took a taxi there because I didn't have a car. And then was also using my son's car, and I borrowed a car from my ex-husband for a while because he had two, and he was letting me use one to get back and forth to work, and it was a lot. But he ended up needing that car back, and then I was kind of sick of that job anyway, so so I'm still looking for remote work. I also crochet, and so I sell some of that stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and had an Etsy shop last year. Did really well over Christmas, but it got so overwhelming, and then the fees are crazy. I probably had about $2,500 in revenue for like November and December, but I was putting so much money back into like buying more yarn to make more stuff, and then with the fees, it almost wasn't worth it. The only way I would sell anything now on Etsy is if it's print on demand, or which I did sell some print on demand mugs. I would do print on demand, or something that's like digital products maybe. But it just got crazy. So I had to shut my shop down for a while. I still have it. It's kind of on like permanent vacation mode, but so I'm really just struggling to find a stable income source. DoorDash is great, but it's not stable. And then my son works, and they need their car, and so I can't DoorDash as much as I would like to. I could turn it into a full-time job. I average about $20 an hour, but I can't DoorDash 8 hours a day. It's just not possible, or even 5 hours a day. I have trouble seeing at night, and so DoorDashing after dark is extremely difficult for me with the driving and then finding the addresses. So I tend to stop when it gets dark, which for this time of year is about 8 o'clock. So my son gets home from work at 4. I can go out from like 5 to 8. Well, no, he gets off of work at 4. He gets home around 4:30, 4:45. So I go out from like 5 to 8. So 3 hours a day. I would really just like a job. So that's what I'm looking for. And I actually have a line on a job. My son and my daughter-in-law bought a house. We moved from the previous house, and they actually purchased a mobile home, and we all moved into it. But this is a temporary living situation, and they've made that clear, and I've made that clear. I don't want to live with them forever. They don't want me here forever, and that's fine. It's not supposed to be that way. I'm only 53, so I'm basically starting over. I have no car, no real. DoorDash is a job, but not a stable income job where they take taxes out and you get a paycheck and all that. I'm still crocheting when I can, when I have money. I'm making like a scrap granny square. It's a very large granny square out of scrap yarn because I've just got all this extra yarn that I'm trying to get rid of, and so I'm actually making that right now. I have my notes here. just because I tend to get off track. See, I'm already at 10 minutes. So, I'm looking for work. I'm selling my crochet. And I'm door dashing. But this is it's a very frustrating situation. Everything's kind of uncertain. I don't know what I'm going to do or where I'm going to end up. I do have 2 other children who are older than the son that I live with. My oldest son is married, but they rent like a small room in somebody else's. Like they're no better off than I am. If they owned a big home, I could live with them, but they don't. They don't own anything. They rent too. So they're not in a position for me to stay with them. And my daughter has had some. She's had some substance abuse issues. She has 4 children, which are not in her custody at the time, but she's gone through a complete rehabilitation program. She's doing extremely well now, and working on getting her kids back. But I mean, like, she's not really in a place to help me either, because she's just starting working, and sorry, my ear was itchy. She just started working and trying to get her life together. I don't really have any other family. I have a sister nearby, but that's definitely not somebody I would want to live with. We don't get along like that. We don't really talk to each other very much. So it's definitely not somebody I could live with. But yeah, it's very frustrating, and it's a very uncertain situation. It's hard to live with your children. But there is a place really close by that I can walk to. It also doesn't help that I've put on a lot of weight in the last. I've put on like 60 pounds in 6 years. So I'm also working on that now too. I've just gone through a very bad depression, and I'm trying to crawl my way out of it. Trying to see some kind of light and some kind of future for myself. I don't know what to do. I seem to keep making the wrong decisions. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but it's hard. Definitely not where I thought I would be at this stage of my life. And I'm going to make these videos to kind of document my journey for my children and my grandchildren, and maybe it'll help them in the future. Maybe it'll help them make better decisions. Also, it helps me stay accountable. And maybe I can help somebody else that's in the same position. So honestly, my first step in my journey is that I need a car. I need to buy a car. I can't use my son's car all the time, and I need to be able to work more. Now that we've moved to a new location, I have some more options of jobs that I can walk to. There's a business right up the road that had a hiring now sign out front that I noticed the other day. So today I am going to go by there and see if I can get a job. It's probably not going to pay much. It's a small business. It's probably going to be like $10 an hour if I'm lucky. Working part-time, but it's a start. It may be enough that I can finance a cheap car, and then I can either DoorDash more, or I can find a better job. Either way, I don't know, but I'm going to keep making these videos. Probably 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll post new videos. I'm still also looking for remote work. The problem with that is my computer is pretty old, and it's very slow to start up, and it's very loud. I don't think it would work. the only way I'd be able to do a remote job is with, like, if it was all just like with my telephone. If I have to have a computer, I'm pretty much screwed. So to do remote work, I need a computer, and I definitely need another car. So I'm going to keep sharing how it goes, and if you want to follow along and see what happens, you can subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video.